Welcome to the Game Breakers podcast, where we look to bring you tips, insights and experience from the world of sport. My name is Rob Nicolay, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Danny Wilson. But today we are joined by former Leeds Rhinos, Castleford Tigers, KR, Harlequins, forward, but now current London Broncos head coach Danny Ward. Thanks for joining us, Danny.
Thanks for having us, fellas.
Happy 40th birthday, Dan, for 2 days ago. Was it 2 days ago?
Yeah, it was Monday, mate. Yeah, so still dusty. A bit dusty. Lockdown party, yeah. It was not how I'd planned to have my 40th birthday. I thought it might be somewhere like Vegas or something like that, but you adapt, don't you? And yeah, it was all right, mate.
You'll fit that Vegas trip in at some point, mate, I'm sure.
Sure will, yeah. Got a pass for it now, yeah. I'm sure that won't run out. I won't expire. Save to me 50th.
Right, we'll kick off then. So the way we've sort of started this podcast with everybody is trying to get to know you as a person, most importantly before delving into your career, really. So just explain to us Danny Ward as a person from yesteryear, so obviously when you was playing up until now.
I mean, I wouldn't have thought I'd massively change, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I was being pretty mature. I was seen to want to be the class clown, certainly from a young age at school. That was always the feedback, and yeah, just as a player, just loved it, loved being around the lads all day. It was, the greatest job in the world, and I've always been pretty laid back. I think sometimes again, I don't know if that can be a positive or a negative in some people's eyes, how laid back I can be. But I think as I've definitely grown up. Having a family changes that, and your priorities change, and become a lot less selfish. But I've always been kind of driven, whether I was as a player or a coach or a husband, dad. I'm driven by what I want to achieve, and that's never changed. Probably have a lot more of a positive outlook on life now. Like I say, I'm older, and you've got family to work and live for. And I just try and be a good person. Really, just live by that every day. Just be a good person. Be the person your kids can look up to, and make the right decisions when they come along every day. And just like I say, just try and bring a little bit of happiness into other people's lives.
Yeah, so you just sorry, Rob. Go on. You carry on, Rob.
I was going to say, you said about being laid back there, and like I say, us from looking from the outside, as when you're coaching, you can see that when you are coaching, because you've generally got a smile on your face regardless of how it's going on the field. Do you think that's helped you, that sort of mentality that you've got throughout your life?
I think so, yeah. Well, I'm in a pretty decent space from it. I think everybody's different, and just that's the way I am. Being laid back and enjoying themselves. I'm big on just wanting the lads to come in and enjoy themselves. I want it to be a place where everyone can enjoy themselves. And I'm laid back, but I think it's clear to the boys that when it's time to go, we go and we work. And I can be laid back, and I can have a laugh and a joke. I can be jovial, but it's crystal clear that when it comes time to work, and that was when I was a player as well. I was similar then, and that might have frustrated coaches that I was able to just flick that switch from being laughing and joking in the changing rooms to going out on the field and doing your job. So I hope that's clear to the lads and the people I work with now that there's a time for being laid back and time for having a giggle and a smile, and then there's time to just flick that switch, whether it's going into a meeting room, going into the gym, going out onto the field. That's the time then we work. And like I said, probably when I was younger and as a player, probably dragged others down me who couldn't flick that switch at times, and that would have frustrated players. But you learn to work with that as you get older, I think.
What's the difference, Dan, between players that can flip that switch like yourself and the players that you drag down that can't flip that switch? What happens? What's the difference?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it is. It's I said I probably came into the professional game around similar players who that was kind of the environment. That it was a good environment to be. It was a laugh and joke, but when we worked hard than anyone else, and that was kind of that environment. So you kind of learned to flick that switch, and you knew the consequences because others were doing it around you. You knew the consequences that if you weren't switched on, or you weren't doing your job, or you made mistakes off the back of that, then you were held accountable to it. So I think that's just another part of it's just another lesson to learn. If you can't do it, lads took themselves out. You see them you've got different lads in the changing rooms, haven't you? You've got lads punching the wall and super serious, and you give a wide berth and you don't go anywhere near to. And then you gravitate towards the lads who know they like to stay relaxed before a game. So you just kind of respect what everybody's feelings are, and you learn as you play and train with each other. You learn about people's habits and the characteristics of them. So again, you've just got to be smart and learn which environment you're in.
You spoke in your opening gambit about being a father now and a family man. What is being a family man like, and what part do they play in your career? Obviously, being from Yorkshire and now living in London or around the London area, what's that like? What support do they give you?
Yeah, I mean, they're massive. I mean, family is the most important thing to me. You know, the little bubble that I've got down here with my two kids and my missus is the most important. Being a good dad and husband, you know, that comes above anything else in your life. So it's you know, I devote a hell of a lot of time to them, and they do me. You know, the sacrifices that comes with being like a rugby widow or and traipsing around the country, or having you going away for weekends on end when, you know, the families are doing their bits. It's tough on them as well, but, you know, you can only go on holiday at certain times of the year, and then you can't switch off when you come home at night as a coach as well, which, you know, they have to put up with sometimes, the bad moods. I'm not always nice and smiles and all that. I do have moments where I'm in terrible moods, and they have to put up with that as well. But, you know, they offer loads of support. The kids love coming to the games, and you know, my boy plays rugby as well, so it just comes, it's a massive part of life, and, you know, I owe a lot to them for what they put up and go through. So it's you know, my payback to them that I'm the best dad and husband I can be.
And what was that like when you was the child and your dad was a well-known rugby league player? What was that like growing up?
For me, it was the norm, and that's, I suppose, I've had just rugby in my life since I can remember, since I was old enough to crawl around. I'd go to games with my old man. So to a kid growing up, that was just normal to me. You know, going and watching my dad at Leeds, and it was great. He'd take me along to training on Saturday mornings when I weren't at school, and you know, I'd watch him train on his team runs and all days, and the old big team baths and all that. You jump in there, which is probably not allowed for kids to get in team baths with 13 rugby lads in this day and age. But there were none of that in that day. So it was great. I was just surrounded by rugby from a young age, and it was probably hard for my dad, because I think he took a step back from. He didn't want to be on the scene in my rugby as much, because, you know, he didn't want to look like he was pushing me into it. So my mum did a hell of a lot when in my early career at amateur. You know, it was her who traipsed me all over in the winter, because my dad had his rugby as well. You know, so he was full on with that. And he didn't want to look like he was pushing me too much. So it was. Yeah, it was like I say, it was just absolute normal for me to just be surrounded by rugby all day long. So that's probably similar what it is now for me and my kids.
Yeah, and with it sort of being ingrained in your family, rugby league, apart from knocking plaster off walls, what do you enjoy doing in your spare time?
I'd never enjoy knocking plaster off walls. That's a lie. But it's tough being down here. We don't have like that support network of family and grandparents, and it is hard being away from your extended family like that. And, you know, it's just full on with spending time with the family. I've got 2 dogs as well, so between taking them out, the kids, just activities, that's just a full-time job, isn't it? Taking your kids to swimming, football, rugby, gymnastics. You're just chasing your tail half the time at the end of the day when you finish work, and then you go into all that. But, you know, it's great. We love it down here. If I can get a chance, I like to do a bit of reading or go. Love music as well, so going to gigs with missus down here, big into like music. So that's the little bit time when we do get to switch off, which is very rare.
Yeah, obviously, you've been in London for a long time now, but like Danny said, you know, proud to be from Yorkshire and everything. Yorkshire are the capital, and why?
I'll probably say down here. I'm going to have to choose down here, which, you know, might upset a few people, but it's...
you mean down here is in the basement where you are now, or down in London?
down here, yeah, in cellar. It's down south. It's giant radiator down here. We love it down here. It's been just a huge part of his life now. You know, the kids are born and raised down here, and 13 years we've been down. My missus is a Dewsbury lass as well. You know, she's from up north, so it was fantastic to move away and experience something different. And yeah, I think we just love it that much down here. So much happening and going on. A little bit hotter as well, and the beer's a bit more pricier, which still kind of steadies you down a little bit. Then you can't go out on the tiles all the time down here, so that keeps me under wraps because it's about £10 a pint. So still being a tight Yorkshireman, that calms me down a little bit. So that might be one of the reasons that I'm a changed man. But yeah, we'd like to get back to Yorkshire and visit the family now and again. But down here, it's where my kids were born and raised as well. So they're little Southerners as well with dodgy accents. But it's luckily we live. You know, I live out in Surrey, so we're not massively in the middle of London where people. When you speak to people up north, there's two people you speak to up north. The ones who think you still travel down every day and commute, they're really shocked that you actually live in London. And then the others who think you live on Oxford Circus, and it's we actually live out in Surrey, so it's close enough to the city to get into on the train, but it's far enough out of the hustle and bustle and a bit of greenery for flogging the dogs. So it's we're loving life.
Outstanding. Going back to your playing career and that journey, obviously being a young amateur, being brought up in a rugby league family like you've already touched on, can you just take us through that journey when you started playing to ultimately being a grand final winner with Leeds? What was that like, and take us through that process?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Dewsbury, which, you know, it's a massive rugby town. There weren't any football teams or union teams there. It was everyone just played rugby league. You know, I think there was about 5 or 6 junior sides just in that Dewsbury Batley area. It was just a hotbed of it. So I started at Dewsbury Moor at 7 years old, and again, it just a fantastic club. A lot of good players come through that club there. You know, all the Burgesses, Discos, Franny Cummins, they'd all played before us. So, you know, I had a bit of heritage there when you went. You had names of all the players who'd gone on and signed professional clubs on the board in the clubhouse. So you knew what it was about from an early age, and just loved the game really straight away. And lucky enough to signed at Leeds. And when I was 15 years of age, it was. My dad was coaching Featherstone at the time, and they wanted to sign me as well, and he didn't want to get too involved because obviously being the coach at Fev, I was in the top league then, I think, and but yeah, I changed my mind. I was driving to Leeds on the day going to go sign for Leeds, and I thought, I don't want to sign for Leeds, I want to sign for Fev, because my mate was signing for Fev, and we played at Dewsbury Moor as well, and I thought, shall I say, I'll just keep quiet. And I was scared to death because I thought, if I tell my dad now that I don't want to sign, and we're on his way to Leeds, he's going to give me a good hiding. But luckily, you know, I just get my mouth shut, sat him back at car, went over to Leeds and signed, and yeah, didn't look back then. So it was good. It was just, and then leaving school, you just went into that old apprenticeship scheme, which was again just probably the best couple of years of his life. There, we left school, we went straight into being like full time. Kind of rugby players on an apprenticeship wage. I think we earned about like 40 quid a week. We could train, you know, full time during the day, and then go coaching. You go coaching on an afternoon, so it was great. You trained on a morning, you went in the gym, you went in the field, and then you go coach out in schools all around Leeds on an afternoon. On Wednesday, then you'd be college day where you did all your learning. So it just seemed like a fantastic scheme at the time, you know, where we could just play and train, and you know, we were just all big kids who just had this big facility, just running around Headingley causing havoc, climbing on the South Stand roof and things like that in your lunch hour, and just getting told off by all the groundsmen. It was a great time to be a player and come into that environment. The academy team we had back then was pretty ridiculous. You know, we had there was Kev Sinfield, Carvel, Gaz Carvel was in there, Ewan Dowes, Matt Diskin, JJB. That was like his pack, which was just you look at the careers that them boys have had. It was a pretty decent team back then. Won a couple of league titles with the academy, and we had some good coaches as well. The coaches there, we had an old guy called Paul Daly, who was just real old school. Just got that toughness into you about working hard and being fit and being mentally switched on and being tough character. And he was just fantastic. He was just such a great bloke as well. And then Dean Bell took over the academy, like the Wigan legend who coached the first team at Leeds. So we had him as an academy coach, and that was just fantastic. Again, just about mental toughness, what it takes to be a professional, all about like the attitude and what you need, and just being tough, really tough blokes, and playing aggressive in that aggressive style. So they were two great coaches to work under as an academy player at Leeds. And then slowly they progressed and made my debut when I was like 18 years old. Graham Murray was a coach then, like a bit of a legend, and did so much for the club. When he came in and kind of turned around the fortunes of the club on the back of him, so working under Graham Murray as an 18-year-old, you know, he had a fantastic team back then, like players like Yestin Harris and Adrian Morley, Barry McDermott, all these internationals, Darryl Powell, we've seen who were just real good mentors back then for a young kid stepping into that first team environment. And it was, again, just a real work hard, tough culture. Everybody enjoyed themselves. There's some real characters in that team, but you know, you had to earn your stripes and work hard. And it was around that time, I think the team got to the grand final, lost to Wigan in '98, and won the Challenge Cup in '99, which was kind of the first bit of silverware for a long time at Leeds. And then I think kind of went through a little bit of a transition period. Some of them older blokes left, you know, Yestin went off to Rugby Union, Moz went and signed in Oz, and that's when that next crop of kind of juniors came through, and they kind of put faith in a lot of them youngsters. And I mean, it was a fantastic kind of plan and a great conveyor belt of talent that they had coming through, that they'd invested in the academies for so many years. And you went through a bit of a transition period there from maybe like 2000 to winning it in 2004, where it was tough. We was a young side. Obviously, we still had some experience in there, and like Keeves and Franny Cummins and players like that. But you know, you had that next crop coming through, like your Burrows and your Danny Maguires and Chev Walker. He made his debut as like a kid, and it was pretty special because we had all this young local talent coming through together, and we were still a pretty decent side up near the top of the table, and it was just, I'd say, it was just a great place to be with lads who you just come through the system with, and all local lads. So yeah, I slowly started making more and more appearances and becoming more of a player in the team. And Darryl Powell then he was coach. Darryl Powell as a youngster took on his first job, you know, and it was a tough gig for him as a young bloke stepping out of the game to be head coach at Leeds. But you know, he was quality for all those young blokes there because he played with us for a few years as well. So, and then Tony Smith came in at the start of the 04 season and just give us that belief that, you know, we weren't kids anymore. You know, we were young men and we were capable of a lot more than what we've been achieving, and they put that belief in us and put that work into us, so specific in everybody's jobs and so hands-on, and the detail in what you put into everyone's game, you know, just turned the corner really, and just we got to winning the grand final in 04, which was just an absolute unbelievable experience for a club like Leeds. I think it was like 30 years that had been without a title, which was, you know, a bit unheard of for such a big club. And we'd all been fans of it growing up. You know, we'd come through the system. We'd been supporters, sat on the terraces ourselves and watched like the struggles and watched the disappointments of years. So to win a grand final together as that group of lads who come through, I think there was 13 academy products in that final team in 04. It was just, yeah, it was, like I say, it was one of the highlights of my career, the highlight of my life, really.
Yeah, that's absolutely massive. Like I say, the amount of academy players within one team, and talked about how ingrained you was at Leeds there. How hard was that then to move on?
Yeah, it was tough because that's all I'd ever known, and you know, it's ingrained me to be a Leeds lad. Obviously, been going there from when my old man was playing as well, so it was tough to move on, and the way it was, like I said, I was a bit of an idiot back in them days, and like I said, I worked hard, but at the same time, you know, did some stupid stuff that ended up getting me sacked from Leeds, and it's not proud of what I did back then, but it's lessons that I've learned from, and it was tough to leave then, because like I said, we had such a good bunch of blokes, and we were all real close mates, so to leave in the way I did, you know, it was really disappointing, but you know, it's one of them things. Like I said, it was hard to get through at the time. There was only a young bloke myself. I was about 24, and you know, I was living on my own, and it was hard. It was a tough mental struggle to deal with that back in that day, and you know, kind of the support networks that that players have now. So it was tough, and then just kind of sat and let my agent kind of try and find me a new club, and luckily enough I got picked up by Cass at the start of that pre-season. I think I'd got like sacked in January, so I was in the middle of pre-season, and then I had a few weeks just sat at home trying to keep myself motivated and try and train myself and deal with everything that was going off the field. And luckily, Terry Matson took me to Cass, and it took some adjusting because Cass is just a totally different club. It's like I say, a smaller facility, they had a smaller playing budget, things like that, and it was just a fantastic club. Everyone just took me in really well. Loved me my year at Cass. Unfortunately, we got relegated that year, but loved my time there. It was just probably good to get me out of. In hindsight, you look back and you get out of a certain system, and you've got to adapt. You've got to go learn something else. You've got to get out your comfort zone. So all them lessons I've kind of learnt then hopefully hold me in good stead as a person now.
Yeah, and like with those, when you look at the clubs that you've been at, so Leeds when they was going through that at the very start really of that dynasty that they've got now, and then like say Cass, Hull, KR, Harlequins, you've gone through, you've been at clubs at different stages of where they've been going through their own transitions. That must have a massive impact for you, as a coach really, because you can see the different type of infrastructures that you've been in.
I think so, yeah. I like to think that I've experienced quite a lot in terms of I've played international, won grand finals, played in cup finals, played them big games for a club like Leeds, but then suffered relegation on the last day of the season at Cass, similar to what that was, funnily enough, that was at Wakefield as well, in that kind of knockout game when Cass, we lost to Wakefield, got relegated on the last day of the season, just as we did last year with Broncos. So again, you learn so much with the experiences you've been in. I'd like to think as a player, I experienced so many good and bad things, that I can draw on that now, and let's say I wasn't perfect as a player and as a person, and maybe that's something that I can identify now with lads, and I can identify with them and relate to them on a human sense as well.
When you look at some defeats or adversities, the cup finals, Challenge Cup finals, OFC, that one 2005, and you say going on to some clubs where you've had some battles and adversity, getting released from Leeds. You say you've learnt some lessons there. Can you put your finger on what those lessons are? What you would bring forward to your coaching life now? How to cope?
Yeah, I think you can just relate to the coaching. You're dealing with so many different lads from different backgrounds and different ages, where they've been in their career. Like say at London, we've got pretty young side, pretty inexperienced side of you're developing a lot of young London lads who don't have much experience in the game and have been playing for a couple of years, and like I said, from all different types of background, all thrown together into one team. And I just think the things that I've kind of been through and not being a saint, I can relate to. I'm not saying that it's acceptable for any of my players to do it. I want them to kind of learn from my experience and be able to pass on, what I've been through. And I don't want them to go there. I don't want them to I want them to fully focus on their career, get the absolute best out of them, know where I probably could have done more as a player, and just want them to achieve the absolute best they can be, because from my experiences, I don't want them to suffer losing finals. I don't want to suffer them relegation again, and I'll do all I can now, knowing from my past mistakes and what I've learned as a player and the coach, from the positive sides of it as well, to give them the best in their careers. And
just before we move on to coaching, we spoke there about adversity and coping a little bit and lessons learned. The success for the grand final, the one consistent you spoke about is unity and team togetherness and all your players growing up. How important was that and significant in compared to the coaching, or was the coaching the key to winning them that grand final?
I think there was a lot from the coaching, but a lot from the lads. I think it's so important that all the boys just cared for each other. We loved each other's company. We wanted to be around each other. We wanted to work hard for each other. And I think if you care for your teammates, you don't want to let them down. And I think that's so important in a team environment, is that you ain't got individuals, you are a team, you're close on and off the field, because like I said, once you get on there, there's only them boys, you've only got your teammates around you, you've not got your coach anymore, you're just relying on blokes who you've just got to put all your trust in to go out there and do their job. And you've seen them do it. You've been through good and bad situations with them on the field, and you know what they're capable of, because you trust them, and trust and care, I think, in a team environment are two massive things for me.
Yeah, and in that environment, obviously, like you've built in London. We spoke to Jamie Langley, recently on one of the other podcasts, and he talks in a similar way in terms of that social capital and looking after the people in and around you. What's your role within that group? As a leader, what would you say that your traits are within that?
I think traits of the leader, I think I'm trying to be as honest as possible with the lads. I think honesty's huge. Lads can see through any kind of dishonesty from a coach in the way you kind of talk to them, what you want to them, and try and be as honest as I possibly can with everyone I deal with. And that you need them to trust you and to respect you. We've got to lead by example in terms of what we do. We demand all these things, we demand all these behaviours from us lads, and you've got to be this good person, and we're all about people first down in London, getting the right people on board and being a good boy, because that'll lead to what you do on the field. But I've got to lead by example. I've got to be that good person that they can see, talk to people with respect, just being well-mannered, keep a nice tidy ship. All them little things are just huge for me as a coach and what I expect from my players. So you've just got to lead by example there, and just be a good person that you want your lads to be, and be able to communicate as well. And communication's a massive part of being a leader. You've got to be able to talk to people and work out what level you talk to. Like I say, everyone's different. You're dealing with 26 lads who all have different backgrounds, different ages, different family situations. Could have had a bad day, a good day. Could be going through all sorts. Could be sweet. Could be secure in the future. Everybody's dealing with something different at that certain time, and being able to communicate with different people in different ways and get the best out of them. Know how to communicate. Know how when people need an arm around them. Know when they need a bit of a rocket up their arse. And it's just being able to communicate. And that comes down to probably caring about people as well. And you care, and you spend time with your players, and you want to learn about them and get to see what makes them tick, what they care about, what they're driven by, what they've got going on off the field, and again, that care, communication, trust, and honesty, just all for me is just what I've got to be as a leader.
Yeah, and obviously that'll go onto the field as well. But how would you describe your sort of coaching philosophy on the field?
Again, I want to create a good environment. I want to create a good, tough environment, a fun environment where people just want to come in every day and get better. And that's, again, just getting the right people who want to do that. Create an environment where it is tough. We train hard, and like I said, I spoke earlier about being able to flick that switch and go from just having a good time to we work hard, but we'll have a smile on his face when we do it. And that's what I'm about. And that's to the boys know that we're going to work hard than the other team because we have to. And being able to do that with a smile on your face is a massive part of my coaching philosophy and what I want lads to do. I want them to be having fun. I want them to enjoy being there. I've been at places and worked for coaches where some lads don't want to be there. It's not been fun, but for whatever reason, it might be the pressure of games, pressure of fans on the back, pressure from the board, all that. And it's tough environments. You kind of got to put all that to one side, and when you step on the field, you kind of got to all unite as one in your goal of what it is. And that's like I say, we're one team, trust each other, we care for each other, and we'll do it with a smile on our face when we're working.
I think it's quite clear that there's something special around your coaching philosophies. And working closely with Jamie at London, you've already shown your credentials as an up-and-coming British coach. To gain promotion out of the Championship against such a well-budgeted Toronto, in that time, what was that like when you played in that to get promoted to Super League, and how did that kind of kick you on as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, it was just an unbelievable year, to get the job given at start of pre-season and being head coach, and it was my first full year really, and the club we'd had a good couple of years. We got into the middle eights under Hendo, and then Hendo left, and I got given the job, which I was thankful for. But we had a bit of a turnaround in players and staff really. We let some experienced players go. Andy Ackers left, Will Bartow. We lost people like Adrian Patel, and the owner just says, we're not replacing them. You're just going to promote the youth, really. I want a club. I want a London club based around London lads. That's the future, and that's the way he wanted to go. So, we lost seeing some bigger players as it was on paper, but his vision was to just make it a London club, which suited me. I've been involved in the club through the scholarship program, the academy program. I was passionate about, the game down here and what the lads can do down here. I'm really confident in the ability of the players down here, and I want a local club. Yes, you can always have all the overseas or Northerners, and that's great because they can really add something to the game. But I wanted a majority of a squad made up of London lads. So to be getting that message from the chairman at the start of my reign was fantastic. These lads who Langers and myself had worked with in scholarship and academy, we could, just keep working with them in first team, and it felt like there was no pressure on us at all to achieve anything in a sense. It was just, promote these lads and give them a crack and show kind of the comp what they can do. And, first day of pre-season, it was some of them lads who've been there previously, they must have been looking around thinking, where's the team? We had just some young kids who'd come up from academy, and it was like almost trying to convince everybody what we could achieve that year. We could achieve something special. I told everyone on the first day of pre-season, that I believed everyone could play Super League, and that was, I believed everyone was a Super League player in there, and whether there was 17 years old or 30 years old, and it took a little bit of convincing at first, because the players, you naturally do, you look around, think, we've lost so and so, we've lost Bartel, we've not replaced them. Everyone just kind of expects a load of new signings on day one of pre-season, and it was just something that slowly just belief started to come once I got out on the field. And we just spoke about, all we did is focus on performance that year. We didn't speak about winning, losing game. We didn't speak about making the top four to get in the eights. We certainly didn't speak about promotion. Everybody was just tipping us to come, 10th or bottom of the league or whatever. And all we just said, look, all we're going to come in every day is just be better than the day before. We're going to work hard in training. We're going to make ourselves better. When it comes to game times, we're just going to focus on performance and the process and getting better each day, and just instill that belief that when they came in, they're going to be better. They're going to be better in the gym. They're going to lift more. They're going to go out on the field. They're going to improve. They're going to go do their extras at the end of the session, all targeted to be better than the day before. And slowly, just the belief started creeping into the squad. And once the game started, they was ready, and it was a pretty special year. I think one of the massive things was a change captaincy at the start of that year. We had Daniel Harrison, who was an Aussie, and he'd been club captain for a couple of years, and I just felt I'd come in, wanted to put a bit of a stamp on the team, and just thought a change of direction would be good. Arrow was a great bloke. He was a great bloke, a good player. Sometimes probably a bit too nice, in a sense, and the boys loved him, and I decided to change it up, made him vice captain, and promoted Jay Pitts to captain, which was, in hindsight, was one of the best things we could do. It was just an extension of us as a coaching staff, as a performance team. He was so driven. He was a pretty quiet bloke at the time, but just worked hard. Pitts Hill, he's been at Hull, he's been at Leeds, he's been in some good systems. But again, he was just so driven and so focused, and we thought that's what we need as a leader this year. We need somebody out there who's just going to lead by example, do the tough stuff, not be scared to tell people straight, praise them when they do well, but tell people straight. And that's probably one of the. It probably goes unnoticed what an effect that had on the team that year. Just making Pitts a captain, and the effect he had and the leadership qualities. It just inspired people to go out and be the best they could, and like I say, he was last off the training field and helping everybody else. And he was quality, so a massive impact that Jay Pitts had on that promotion winning season. But yeah, just going back to that back end of the season was just nip and tuck. You know, we was lying in about fifth position coming at the end of the regular season, and we had some tough games coming. We had to go to Toulouse and try and get something. We had Halifax, who you know was a quality team, who just always seemed to have a number on us at home, and we had to go to Feather away and get something as well, which we was only in fifth position. And you know, when you spoke to Langers last week, he spoke about scenarios and how we love just putting scenarios into training, and all year we're just building these scenarios into training. Right, we're going to do 13 on 13, we're going to be a point behind with a minute to go, you know, go out and play. Or you're defending a 2-point lead with 5 minutes to go. All these scenarios, we love doing them in training. You've got to put people under pressure. You've got to fatigue these lads and then put them into a game scenario where they've actually got something to focus on. Go away. You've got 30 seconds. Go talk about how you're going to attack this scenario. And we're just massive on these and just so many times. And it just seemed like every game in this last 4 games going into the middle eights and even into the middle eights, we've come up with one of these scenarios that we've done in training previously. And some of them in training were an absolute shambles. We would go into Golden Point and people would be spraying drop goals all over, and it was just one of these where you're just like, what's going on here? But that's why you learn. We come together at the end of training, and it sounds really romantic when you talk about doing these scenarios in training, but we're an absolute mess at times. And the lads would say, I should have done that. I shouldn't have chipped over when we were a point up and chipped out my own 20. It's just about learning and putting these people in these positions. So, you know, we went to Toulouse and we ended up drawing in Toulouse, and we're trying to get a drop goal at the end of the game, and it's just spraying everywhere, and it's just a mess. And then we beat Halifax at home by 2 points again. Scenario, they're coming on top at the back end of the game. And all we're saying is we're just sending messages out saying, you've been here before, we did this last week in training, just get that message to the boys, stay calm, you've been there, you've done it. And that's why we're so big on that kind of training. And then, you know, we end up beating Featherstone away, we end up winning, going into second place and going into the middle eights. And that first game then at Widnes in the middle eights, we end up winning by a drop goal, which is Jared Samet put a drop goal over with about 2 minutes to spare. And it was, again, just something that practiced on the field. They passed it left to the other half back. Everyone thought he was going to hit a drop goal. He just whipped it back across the ruck to Jared. And Jared pinged it across. And that's something that they've been planning for. That's something that they made a mess of in Toulouse. That's something that they made a mess of in training. But they nailed it in that game at the start of the middle eights. And Widnes were a Super League side then. So all of a sudden, you just saw that belief from the boys just go through the roof. We got to the middle eights and we've beaten a Super League side, so we're like, well, we just need to focus on his next game, and we're in a good chance here. You already know that you knocked off a Super League side in the middle eights, you're in a good chance of getting somewhere, and that belief just went through the roof from there. And it was a decent qualifying campaign, and yet then to go to Toronto, it always kind of felt like it was written that we'd have to go back to Toronto for this £1 million game. And the boys were just so fully focused. We've been over there and got two decent pastings. We went over in the middle eights, got a good kick in, and then went over in the regular season and got an hiding as well. But the feeling was that when we went back again, we'd learned so much throughout that season about how we approached that game, how we prepared for the game, what we did wrong, what we need to do better, how to beat them, and learned through that when we went back in the £1 million, we were just so confident that they were going to win, and it just felt like. The training all week was great. The team over there was so relaxed, and you just knew you could get that look in the eyes of the boys, even though they were massive underdogs. And again, we just had a lot of youngsters. Team of some young London lads who played in that game, and you just knew you had that much confidence from them. And again, you just trusted them to go out and get the job finished. It was just an unbelievable experience, and something I'll never forget being a part of. It's certainly up there with winning the grand final. Yeah, it's not better.
Outstanding. It was certainly, like you say, an exciting campaign to watch, and that was certainly enjoyable knowing you, to see you get that promotion to Super League. And for a coach, how pleasing is it when you come onto a field at training and the players are almost dissecting things themselves when drop goals don't go over and what they should have done, and they're correcting themselves? Yeah,
that's where you want to get to, and as a coach, you almost want them lads coaching themselves, and that starts when you hammer on what you want as a team, how you want to play, and you get them questioning each other and challenging each other and wanting to get better, and you create that environment where they can do that every day and want to come in and get better, not just walk away from something thinking, oh, that was an alright session. You want them coming away from it saying, what did we learn from that? Where can we get better next time? So the next time we come into that drill in a week's time, they're already talking about, the previous week, well, this is what we need to do now. And that's how we just focused on performance, and every week just coming being better than the previous time we did that drill. And it's so pleasing then that you get them lads who care about the game, care about the team, care about being better. And that's just, that's one of the pleasing parts about coaching, is when you can stand back and not coach. So it's just, you can go out the smoking and just leave them to it. It's and that's what you want. You've got a good bunch of lads there who, I say, it's not always that pretty, it's not always perfect, but you learn so much from your bad sessions and your losses and things like that. So it's great to see.
The following season, I think you got 10 wins in Super League, which is a fantastic effort. And I think that would be enough for any team in history to kind of stay up in Super League. It wasn't the case for you. Went down to that last game at Wakefield and resulted in some of your key performers at London then moving on in J Pitt. How was that to take? When you perform so well, to still end up back in the Championship?
Yeah, it was so up and down. It was just an absolute roller coaster. Really, was the Super League season. I said it was. We stuck with the majority of the squad from the Championship. Added a few bits of quality as we needed to, but I said kind of I'd stick with the majority of them lads. Them lads had earned the chance to go play Super League. So I didn't believe in having wholesale changes. They'd earned it. I had trust in them and belief that they could play at that top level. I know some of the lads had done that before, like Jay Pitts, like Elliot Keir. They'd all played Super League. So I wanted to give them that opportunity, and they were just, I said, it was so up and down. We'd have weeks where we'd get big hidings from like your Warringtons and teams like that, and St Helens, and it was tough. But then they never stopped working hard. They were just such a great bunch of blokes to be involved with, because they were so driven and just had that work ethic for it. And it was tough because getting back in the season, you had lads leaving, and to deal with that was all different kind of something that had not been dealt with. We had lads who had some tough conversations saying, I've signed for, Pitchu signed for Wakey, Reece Williams had signed for Salford, and we had to have some chats, and it was heartbreaking really, because you're seeing your team dismantled in front of you before the season's out. But I totally get the game, and I get that lads need to, I know what happens, it's part of the game, they need to secure their futures. And I had nothing but respect for them, and they deserve the crack to continue playing Super League. And if that's what they could get at another club who could guarantee them that, that's just a game, and you deal with that as part of it. But it was tough because you're dealing with lads going elsewhere, and then obviously the media talking about that. It's hard to keep everybody fully focused. But I say it's hard. It didn't feel that hard. Everyone just, again, I'd built that trust and that confidence in these lads that I knew they'd give me their all to the absolute death. Things like Abo had signed for OKR before the end of the season. Everyone knew that, but then 2 games to go, he had an absolute blinding game against OKR at their place, and probably won the game for us. And I had that trust and belief, and you've got to let the boys go out and play. And so I knew that all them lads would just keep turning up for me and turning up for each other for the rest of the season. But it was pretty hard to take. But just that bunch of players who majority played in Championship, they knew they'd have to be good. We always spoke about being out 8 out of 10 every week. Everybody's got to be 8 out of 10. And we knew that we've been in, Lang has played in top teams, I've played in top teams. Sometimes you can just turn up and it'll be a little bit off, but so-and-so will get you through. They'll get you through. They'll can win games for you sometimes. But we knew as a group what we needed to be 8 out of 10 every week, and that's hard. That's tough to be on the money from pre-season all the way through like a 27, 28 game regular season, to be 8 out of 10 every week and demand that from your teammates, and it's hard physically as well as mentally, to do that. So I had just so much respect for him and was proud. It was tough getting relegated, but on the other hand, it was such a proud achievement to see what the boys had accomplished. It's just a shame. I'm a massive fan of licensing and going back to that franchise system. I will say that if we got relegated, I'm I'm bound to. But I just believe that, if we'd have been guaranteed, say like a 3-year licence in Super League that year, that I wouldn't have lost. You still lose players, but your Alex Walkers and your London lads who come through the system, you could promise them Super League the year after, and all of a sudden you can keep the core of your team together, and you can just build. You can bring in some new players, and next year you try and progress a couple of runs up the ladder, and all of a sudden you've got that long-term goal, you've got that long-term vision of a 5-year plan where you're dead set, you're in Super League, and you can keep all the players, you can keep all the youngsters, you can invest because you know what money you've got coming in next year. It's such a tough system, is a promotion relegation system, for anyone to do it well and to try and kick on and then eventually, go on to the goals, to go on and win Super League. You want to be, but it's so hard to do when you're going to be losing players each year and you're not sure where you're at. But I get it, that's the country that we're living with, big promotion relegation, and it gives so much entertainment to the game last year. It's part of the culture in what we do. But yeah, if it was that, who knows where it could have been.
Yeah, and after that sort of roller coaster of a season, personally, you got followed up with a call up to be a Great Britain assistant coach. How was that?
Yeah, awesome, unbelievable. To represent your country, whatever it is, whether you're playing, kitman, coach, assistant coach, it's such an amazing honour. It was great to see the Great Britain brand back on after such a long time out. It was real experience, and I suppose it was a tough experience. As it's no secret, it was a tough talk. The losses that came, the pressure, the scrutiny that the camp came under, it was tough. It was tough to see that generate over a few weeks. As a lad, lost another game, and then the criticism came in even more for the coach for winning, and the lads and the players and the selection, all that went into that. It was, again, you learn so much from that, as well as if we'd have gone there and won every game, I probably wouldn't have learned as much as I did during that tough tour. But it was a great experience to work with someone like Wayne Bennett as well, and work with that class of lads as well, international players, who can just to work hard, the skill levels on point, and to have a group of them, it was fantastic to work with them and see what their mindset's like going into every day, going into a game. So as a young coach, to have that experience, I'm very thankful for.
Yeah, and let's see, you've mentioned a few coaches whilst we've been chatting. Who would you say that you've worked with or observed that's been the best coach that you've worked with, and why?
Yeah, I was apart from myself, Dan, obviously. It was it's tough. You get so much out of every coach that you work with, and that's, I said, some more like what not to do and what to do. But yeah, I previously mentioned Graham Murray, who was when I made my debut for Leeds. He was a coach. He was a fantastic bloke, and just kind of turned the Leeds club around. Really, he was the start of that journey, I think. And then, but I think Tony Smith coming in 04 kind of turned me from, I was up and down. My form was up and down really from that, and I was kind of seeing, when I was younger, I'd have a good year and then follow that up with a bit of a dodgy year, and it was really inconsistent in what I did. Whether that's, I probably can see that now in young players, and that I like dealing with young players, is you can see off the back of a good year how many times it's hard to go and have another good year. And that was probably similar to me when I was younger. I'd have a decent year in '99, then 2000 was a bit dodgy where I dropped off. Whether that's you take your foot off the gas a little bit as a young kid, thinking that you've sorted it and you've nailed it, you've completed rugby league, and then you have a better year the year after. And Tony Smith just kind of got me. He was so detailed in his game and broke down my role as a player and my role as a job, and just got me so consistent as just to what he wanted. You had good players who play. If you didn't perform, then you was out, and someone would be straight in. So he just got me working on my consistency and doing the job regularly, and again so detailed, and he just give us that belief at the start of that year to go achieve what we did. And he was, like I say, he's a fantastic coach. And other than that, Brian Mack, I love working with Brian Mack. He was assistant at that same time, so it wasn't just Tony and them that year. It was Brian as assistant and as a former prop as well, who did so much for my game, and he was the reason why I came down to London really and made that move. Is when Brian was head coach down here. So I love working with him. He's a bit of a different character. He's strange, not for everyone, but I love working with him. And yeah, them two definitely, Tony Smith and Brian Mack are probably the best I've worked with.
And then with that, sort of looking and reflecting on yourself, what would you say from a coaching point of view sets you apart from everyone else?
Again, I think it's probably the experiences that we spoke about. I've been through quite a lot as a player, good and bad. Like I said, this has not always been an angel and experience that side of it, but again, I was always worked hard and you know, I was very driven in what I did and wanted to achieve. Like I said, I've suffered promotion on the last day of the season as a coach and as a player, but then I've won things, I've got promotion, and I like to think that them experiences, I'm still very humble and down to earth with them, but I've experienced them, and I hope that I can pass these on to lads who we've got now. You know, we've got a very young bunch, and I love working with the young fellas. You know, it's ever since started with a scholarship down in London, I've enjoyed developing players, and it's not, you're developing them as people. I see it as more of you're developing these lads as people and growing up. And some of these lads will come to you, you know, 17, 18 years old, moved out of the family home, and they'll be living together, and you're almost trying to teach them how to clean an house and cook food and be a decent person because they're so inexperienced at that, and you're developing them as people before they even set foot on a rugby field. So I think I'd like to think that the experience I've got from my life can help shape them into, you know, the people that they want to be.
What's the end goal, Dan? What's the end goal for you as an up and coming coach?
End goal, I want to win Super League with London. Really, that's what I believe we can do, and that's why I want to make them. You know, well, certainly help. I want to help make them and be a part of London Broncos being the best club in the game, or certainly over here. You know, I truly believe that the infrastructure's in place, the games, there's such untapped potential down here. I know, like I said, it's a massive city, and we've not always done things right. You know, we've done a lot of things right, but there's others, we've got lots of areas to improve. But I think it's got so much potential to be, you know, the biggest club in the game, and that's why I just say, I want to get back to Super League. I want to win Super League with London, and so I just think it can be. You look at the players who come through the system down here, and quality on shore we've currently got in his junior systems, and we can produce them, we can keep hold of that. And I want it to be like the London side of London kids, and that's the goal for me. That's what drives me every day to get up and like I say, make them boys improve and as people and players.
And then, if you had to give any advice to sort of any young coaches, what's one value that you'd express to them?
Value. I just have fun. Make it enjoyable. If you're not enjoying yourself and you're not having fun, then it's pointless being there. Yeah, that'll rub off on your players and that'll rub off on your team. You know, you've got to enjoy it, and I think that's been the message that I tried getting through today. Is that you want to make it a good environment. You know, listen as you know, more than you talk. You know, shut your mouth at times and just listen to your players. Talk to them, ask questions, and then listen to the answers. So, but at the end of the day, I think if you're not enjoying yourself and you're not having fun, then it's all pretty pointless.
I think that's a great bit of advice. I think, you know, Jamie's conversation as well was similar. As your coach is probably reflective of how many players stay behind when they don't have to. And I think if you're having fun or are in that environment you've set, they will hang around. And I think for community coaches as well, when they're trying to grow their team and the numbers, if the players love being there and they get there early, you know, that's a massive vote of what they're doing as coaches. But also, they've got a bit of extra time to get better as players if they're turning up early or staying a bit later.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and like I said, that certainly in the community game, and that it's not just a rugby team. It's part of the community. It's heart of the community, isn't it? That's why you want them lads there. That's why I went to rugby as a kid, because my mates from school went there, and you know, we knocked about together after school. We'd go to the park, we'd play together. All we was interested in was rugby, and you've got responsibility there as a community, bit of a community leader with your community game to make these blokes better people as well. You know, have good standards there, you know, to help them become decent people and make it fun for them where they want to come to a club. You know, certainly at the amateur game, you've got to make it's even more about the fun side of it there, because they aren't getting paid. You know, there's not in it for them in that sense. So it's all about, you know, the social, being around other people and then enjoying the game of rugby league.
Outstanding. You go on and win the grand final with London. To do that, what's one thing you have to improve on as a coach?
I do think I probably need to be more serious at times. Stop being so mature at times. I genuinely think it's part of me and part of my traits. I'm laid back, and I think I still need to learn myself how to flip the switch, or so I can flip the switch, but learn when other people can't, and learn my group and things like that. So, but I'm just still a young coach, and there's so much that so much I don't know and need to get better on. It's just, I know it's a bit of a cop out, but just everything in a coaching style and what I do and how I interact with people and what I do in the field, tactics, defensively, it's everything I just need to improve on. Luckily, you know, I'm in a good environment where I'm learning from the players every day. I've got some good players there who I learn. I've got fantastic staff who I get to learn from, and some of the best in the business, and just so lucky to have them on there. So I'm just learning every day. I've just got to go with that open mind to better myself. You know, I ask the players to do that, so that's what I've got to do as well. I've got to go in there every day with an open mind to get better than I was the day before.
And just as we start rounding things off, there's last two questions that we've been asking everybody. But we've all got a go-to drill or a go-to sort of activity that we do when we need to pull some out of our ass. So, in here, what's your best coaching drill or activity and why?
I'm a kick tennis. It's
Juggling.
Sculling beers and shit. Boat race. I think I love games, love small-sided games. Just getting a ball in hands. I probably just always fall back on speed touch, really. I love a game of speed touch. Love like a little bit of a mini skill, quick hands, blow a whistle, transition, straight into a game of speed touch, just play. Just get as much, maybe 5-a-side, something like that, where everybody's getting their hands on the ball so much, everybody's playing, no one can have a play off, and it's just quick. It's a simple game. It's such a simple game that we just try and overcomplicate all the time. And I just think you just keep it simple, play quick, get your eyes up, play to what you see, get everybody working together, pushing, reloading, eyes up, good skill, and that for me is a game. That's where you score most of your points, not for the big up me round me overs plays and that. It's just playing on that front foot, playing quick, high tempo, and also you've got to defend that as well. So it's both sides of the coin, but definitely for me, they're probably the go-tos. Is just a little bit of quick skill straight into a speed touch game. That's the game.
Outstanding. If you could ask any player, past or present, or coach, or any sport, one question, what would you ask? And why would you ask that?
Again, tough one now. When you think about that, you don't cop out and say so many questions you could ask to anybody, any player and coach could have a deep conversation with. But if I was probably had to nail one, it'd probably be maybe Alex Ferguson, and just very interested how he managed to rebuild his team a few times over during them successful years, and how he kept it so successful during them transition periods of, you know, got good players he got rid of, some at the top of the game, and how he rebuild a squad, was it? And how he drove the standards of Man United, how he kept that DNA as part of that while he rebuilt. I think that's quite fascinating to me, how he managed to do that. You know, was it built from the youth side and the youth players he brought up, or did he bring in certain leaders who could affect the team on the field? You know, but that probably fair to say that'd probably be what I'd ask. And then he's got all the egos and the money to get in the way as well of some of them teams. So, you know, I think it was to see what successes he had while rebuilding a couple of times over and not dipping really was pretty special. And like to let us know how I can do that. It'd be fantastic.
That's a very well articulated question, and ego's a big thing. I can see you don't have an ego, Dan, and you just keep things simple. One day you might be able to decorate your house, put some plasterboard on the walls.
Exactly, yeah. Just a simple kind of guy, yeah. No egos here. Too big. Go plaster that bedroom. Whoa, I've coached in Super League, me love. Assistant GB coach, I'm not plastering that.
Go live in it then.
She'll just give me a good idea, won't miss it, so she knocks me straight down there. Keeps me ego in check, walking around in my GB tracky, plastering walls.
We'll just clip that a bit and send it to her in a text after.
Yeah, just
Danny. Sorry, Rob. I'll let you wrap up.
I was just say, just from my point of view, I think it's been great, and appreciate your time. I think there's loads that coaches and listeners can get out of that, and hopefully, when the season does start, which we don't know when at the moment, but I hope you have a good year, and then hopefully we can get London back in the competition as soon as possible, because it's certainly there to be there. So cheers for.
Fingers crossed, mate. Hopefully, we can earn a spot when we get up and running.
Yeah, good luck, Dan. Thanks very much for your time, mate.
Cheers, fellas. It's been awesome.